Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, great for recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with someone. You might get something out of it. Other than that, we're going to get into the reading today, guys. It's a good one, and, what was I going to say today? Huh? I don't know, I thought I had something, but let's see if it comes back to me. Sorry, guys. The reading today is titled Pain, Not Just a Motivating Factor. Pain, not just a motivating factor for growth. We learn that pain can be a motivating factor in recovery. Pain, quotations, who needs it? We, we think when we are in it. We see no good purpose for pain. It seems to be a pointless exercise in suffering. If someone happens to mention spiritual growth while we are in pain, we'd probably snort in disgust and walk away thinking we'd never met a more insensitive person. But what if human beings did not experience pain, either physical or emotional? Sounds like an ideal world, right? No, not really. If we weren't capable of feeling physical pain, we wouldn't know to blink when foreign particles into our eyes, and we wouldn't know to stop exercising even when to roll over when sleeping. We would simply abuse ourselves without our natural warning system. The same holds true for emotional pain. How would we have known that our lives had become unmanageable if we had not been in pain? Just like physical pain, emotional pain lets us know when to stop doing something that hurts. But pain is not only a motivating factor, emotional pain provides a basis for comparison. When we are joyful, we couldn't appreciate joy without knowing pain. And then the affirmation is I will accept, just for today, I will accept pain as a necessary part of life. I know that to whatever level I can feel pain, I can also feel pleasure. And guys, yeah, those examples were really corny, but that's absolutely true. And particularly for myself, when I was in active addiction, I would use any excuse to get high, but pain was probably the most common one. Whether it was being pissed off at somebody, I smashed my finger, whatever, dude. I wasn't having a good time in a relationship. Wife driving me crazy. Blah 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 blah. Pain was always an easy cop out to go get high. But then, when things went well, I'd want to celebrate by getting high. So at the end of the day, it was just bullshit. Now, what's something I'm learning in recovery is not to say enjoy pain, but I'm starting to enjoy just feeling things, like actually having appropriate emotions, appropriate emotional responses to things, no longer feeling like a robot, and learning what my real tolerances are. Pain for one thing, part of the one of the best moments I've had in my recovery was after my surgery was all set. If you guys been following the channel back in, I think it was early June, I wasn't feeling real well one day, so I'd gone to bed early, and then I woke up in the middle of the night, and I knew something was medically wrong. I'd gone to bed hoping I was like I had eaten something bad or something along those lines, or had a cramp from the gym or something, but I knew I wasn't feeling right. When I woke up in the middle of the night, I still didn't know what was wrong, but I knew something was drastically wrong. And again, it was the middle of the night, so I laid back down. But then I got up in the morning and I immediately went right to the emergency room because I knew something was, not like life-threatening wrong, but I knew something was like my body was letting me know there was something drastically wrong. Come to find out, a CT scan later, my appendix had burst. And guys, it was pretty fucking painful. I'm not gonna lie. I was having a hard time taking deep breaths or standing fully erect. I was hunched over, but again, one of the things with the pain is it let me know I needed help. Like if I hadn't been feeling that pain, I wouldn't have gone to the hospital, and my appendix had actually ruptured. It was starting to poison, leak inside my body, and I would have gone septic, and I would have died had I not, been feeling pain. Pain is very necessary. Same with emotional pain, guys. Today, I'm very well aware of the pain, whether physical or mentally, and I pay more attention. I got a very high tolerance for physical pain, fortunately. Now, I'm skipping around a little bit. One of the beauty that came out of that was, now, being that I'm on Sublocade, which is an opiate blocker, mentally, I was prepared walking into the emergency room to handle the pain, and I was not concerned with the whole pain med thing. I thought that they were going to understand that I was an addict on Sublocade, and that would just eliminate it from the equation, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. But there's, it's a double-edged sword, guys, because you know what? Finally, they're starting to get to a point to understand that not everybody is in their drug-seeking behavior. And I assumed, I went in, told them I was an addict. I was very upfront about it, let them know right off the bat. I said, listen, I'm here to get diagnosed, not seeking pain meds. As a matter of fact, I'm going to refuse any. I'm on Sublocade. You can't give me any. And then to my surprise, when they realized the severity of what I was facing and I was looking at emergency surgery, they're like, oh, no problem. We can give you pain meds and we're going to. And I'm like, excuse me, that is where the first anxiety came in. All of a sudden, I'm being faced with the idea that they're about to reverse my Sublocade and give me liquid morphine. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm like, guys, I appreciate it, but no, I'm okay. And they're like, you're not. You're in a world of pain. I'm like, yeah, but I'm okay. Like, I don't want pain meds. And I had to explain to them. I said, listen, I've worked really, really hard in this recovery. And it's not that I'm worried about saying I took something. I'm worried about what's going to happen afterwards. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if my brain, all this work I've done, I've been very intentional about reprogramming the way I think and to get out of addiction. I'm not about to let you guys medicate me if I don't feel it's necessary. And I know that if you give me Tylenol and Motrin, that's going to work better than fucking morphine and Percocet. Like, the Percocet and morphine get you high. It doesn't take pain away. Tylenol and Motrin is the best cure for pain I've ever felt. Over the counter, nothing prescription necessary. And again, they said, well, listen, we're going to talk to your primary and we'll come up with a plan. And they were very good about it. I give them a ton of credit. They were working very hard to make me comfortable. They were offering to give me Sublocade, Suboxone, Methadone. But again, and I very kindly, and I didn't get irate, and I didn't get upset. I was a little shocked because I just didn't expect it. But that's my ignorance, and I shouldn't fault them for it, and I didn't. I was very proud of myself for advocating the entire way through for the fact that, no, my sobriety is very, very important to me. And it's not that, I don't know how I'm going to react once you give me those drugs. Like, right now, I don't want them in me, but once you give them to me, I don't know if that switch in my brain that makes me different than a normal human being is going to be activated, and suddenly I'm going to be jonesing and craving and conniving and scheming and misusing my medication, and I don't want that. I don't want to take a chance of that. That was the only real fear I had. I've never had surgery. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't care. And I advocated right up until the point of the anesthesiologist coming out. And I made it a point of meeting with the anesthesiologist to let them know. And I've been very vocal up to this point, very kind, but I'm very vocal on the fact that I would not allow them to use any comfort meds on me in any circumstance. And the anesthesiologist come out, and lo and behold, they said, no, it's a mix. We're going to put this, that, the other. And I'm like, doc, explain to me why I need that. Well, when you come out of, I asked him, I said, you can put me under, correct? And he said, yes. I said, well, then put me under, but take the opiates out of the equation. I don't want any opiates in my body. That is what I have a problem with. And he goes, well, you don't understand. We're gonna be inside your body manipulating this, that. You're gonna wake up in so much pain. And I'm like, doc, I've been in a world of pain for the last 24 hours, and I've been upbeat, laughing, joking, like jovial. Like, I can handle the pain. I'm okay. What scares me is what I can't control, which is what my mind, how it may react once those drugs are administered. And he fought with me a little bit. He argued, well, you don't understand. I said, doc, at the end of the day, I said, I'm trying to be polite, but it is simply for comfort, correct? Yes, he said. I said, well, then I refuse. I'm not allowing it. I'm comfortable. I feel cognizant enough to determine my own level of comfort. And if I have to lay in bed in pain for an extra couple of hours, rather than risk throwing away my sobriety, like, oh, that's a chance I'm going to take every fucking time. And they were a little reluctant, but at the end of the day, they just gave me, I think it was propanol, I think, the stuff that killed Michael Jackson. It was my big joke, the Michael Jackson drug. But so anyway, they put me under. I had my surgery. I woke up a couple hours later, and I felt so much less pain than I did going into surgery that I knew immediately I'd made the right decision. Doctors were really cool. The nurses respected my decision, and lo and behold, because I didn't have to have that whole brain fog of being under narcotics, they actually, I think I got out of surgery at like 2 o'clock in the morning. They let me sleep for 4 hours, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, they released me knowing I was driving myself home. They allowed me to drive home 4 hours after surgery, after major surgery, right? because I hadn't taken any narcotics. Now, I felt pretty good. I was in pain, but not bad. I felt less pain. I felt more pain walking in than I was feeling walking out. And they gave me prescriptions for 800 milligram Motrin and 800 milligram Tylenol, which I didn't even bother to fill because I had Tylenol at home. And I wasn't trying to abuse them and beat up my liver. But my point being, I took the proper medication that I knew. And they were even offering to write me a script of Percocet just in case. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, after everything I just went through to refuse all of that. But again, they were following protocol, and there's a double-edged sword there. I thought it was a bit much, but guys, I used my pain appropriately to let me know where I need to get there, yet I didn't use it as an excuse to go back into addiction. And this all came up so quick that I never had a moment to really think about it at the time. But when I left the hospital the next morning and I got home and I got to rest and I got to relax, I woke up with a confidence in my recovery that I've never ever felt, because I've always had that fear in the back of my head, knowing my prior attempts at recovery, that all of a sudden all it took was one bad thought, and maybe I can use this one time, and I'd be right back out there again. And I've always been afraid. That's why I've been so intentional about everything I do, reprogramming my brain, doing meetings every day, doing my videos every day, doing just everything I've been doing, guys. If you watch the channel, you know the recovery program that I work, because I'm trying to build as many tools and as many safeguards as I can against that ever happening. Now, here I was in a situation where I was in probably some of the worst pain. No, I couldn't say that. I've been in some pretty bad pain, but it was up there. It was severe pain, and I got doctors telling me that I have to be medicated, and yet I still sat there and refused. And I very politely, they loved me by the time I left, and I gained a lot of respect, myself and my own included. But I got home and I looked at the totality of it all, and I said, wow, I didn't see that coming. In a moment's notice, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the battle, I advocated for my sobriety, and I fought against being medicated, and rightfully so, because guys, they were telling me 4 to 6 weeks before I could lift 10 pounds and this and that. 2 weeks later, I was fully healed, fully recovered, back in the gym, bench pressing my full, doing my full. The first couple of days exercising, I was a little concerned with the hernia because of the cuts in my belly. So I had to tailor some exercises, but within that third week, I was back to full range of motion, back to work full time, and feeling zero effects from my surgery. I healed up incredibly well because I let my body do so, and for once in my life, I didn't overdo it. I exercised and I moved as little as possible. I followed their directions for the immediate, first, I think it was like the first 7 days, I didn't do anything. I was very careful. I didn't lift my hands over my head. I was, very concerned that I'd get a hernia, because I know I do have a high tolerance for pain. But I was finally learning the proper way to use pain for what it's there for, to let me know when I'm overdoing something, and let me know when I'm in a situation that's not good for me. And then taking a step back as necessary, paying attention to my body, healing. And it was amazing to me how well I healed. But that sense of confidence that I walked away from, that I was able to say, wow, like, I finally believe in myself and believe that I will advocate for my sobriety, and I believe that this is my new life. Like, that whole imposter feeling, and the whole fear of going backwards. Again, it's something I can't say, okay, that happened, so it never happened again. This is something I have to work at every day. Every day that I work my recovery program, I get a 24-hour break from the disease recovery. Nothing beyond that. I have to wake up tomorrow and work my recovery program again tomorrow, every day. But so long as I work my program every day, I get a daily reprieve from the woes of addiction. And, this is the only thing in this world that's ever kicked my ass repeatedly is addiction, because I allowed it to. But the sense of confidence I got from knowing that I would advocate and not take medication when it was all but jammed down my throat was beautiful, guys. It is so amazing. It's the best feeling in the world. I literally don't have words to explain it, but guys, it is amazing, right? Pain doesn't have to be your enemy. Pain can be your friend when you work a recovery program and when you do things. Now I use pain, even particularly emotional pain. I have come so bought into this law of attraction, vibrational reality thing, that I try to be the best person I can. I love living life to the best of my ability, to being the best person I possibly can, because I'm finally enjoying the person that I'm seeing in the mirror, and the relationships that I'm building and the opportunities that I'm getting, and just being a part of an active, like, just a respected member of society is something I could never ever do, and I finally can today. But a big part of that is because I've accepted pain as part of my life, part of the world. There's an ebb and flow to life. There's gonna be, there's gonna be good times, bad times, and I understand now that the negative feelings not only let me know when I'm stepping out of line or when I'm going down a path that's dangerous for me, or when when an old behavior is coming up, but I also have that baseline to compare the joy that I feel in my everyday life now, and it shows me that I'm on the right track and that things are going well, and I can appreciate the beauty of everything around me so much more because I have that baseline of just unbelievable pain to compare it to. And that's the beauty of it, guys. There's a good and bad and up and down, a left to right, and in and out to everything. And when you look at the totality of it, you can use that as a safeguard against going backwards, and then also as a place to compare what feels good as compared to what felt bad. And that's the beauty of pain, guys. Pain is not your enemy. It's an absolutely necessary part of life in every way, shape, or form. It lets us know when we're hurting ourselves, when we're doing something detrimental to ourselves, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Pain. Some people find pain as pleasure. I don't see that. And again, to each his own, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else. But use pain properly, right? Use emotional pain to let you know when you're going into a situation that's not good for you, or you're acting in a way that's not for your highest self or not of your highest self. I notice it all the time, guys. When I start to do something that I'm not proud of, I immediately feel it. I'm like, ooh, I don't feel that. I don't feel that high vibrational joy that I'm used to feeling now, and I immediately backtrack and say, okay, well, what am I doing that's wrong? And it's glaringly obvious every time now that I'm paying attention to it. Guys, the video's getting a little long. That is the point. That is the video. I really like this one. I hope you guys all got something out of it. More than anything, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. And always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.